is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Underdog Podcast. Today, I am revealing my number 31 team in the Houston Texans. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the support on the number 32 videos. The Jacksonville Jaguars, with the offensive and defensive in-depth looks, have been getting very, very good responses. Been getting very good views. I know some Jags fans are probably not happy about their ranking, but it's just my opinion. You can disagree all you want, but at the end of the day, you are here to watch my content, and that is my opinion. Also, I would like to say just rest in peace, Marion Barber, who was killed just the other day. So rest in peace, way too young. He was an absolute beast in the league for the Dallas Cowboys. So rest in peace, Marion Barber. But let's get right into this. The power rating calculator will be back up on your screen. Just for those of you who are new here, the overall ranking of why the team is here, so why the Houston Texans are 31st, comes down to 45% of their offensive grade, 35% of their defensive grade, 15% of their culture grade, which is their benefit of the doubt meter / head coach ranking, and then 5% special teams. And so today we're going to be covering the offensive side for the Houston Texans. In a few days, we'll be covering the defensive side. So for the offense, it's 33% the quarterback, 23% the weapons. So receivers, tight ends, and then running backs as a receiving grade, 21% the offensive line, 18% the offensive coaching, and then 5% for the running back. So let's get right into this with the quarterback room, which is going to rank 30th for the Houston Texans. So Davis Mills kind of came out of nowhere last year as a rookie. A lot of people didn't know much about him, and he wasn't really in that group of 5 conversation with the guys that were taking the first round last year. He was kind of in the best of the rest, along with Kellen Mond and some of those other guys. So Mills' big thing at Stanford of why he wasn't even really considered to be like a second-round pick, he was really a late day 2, early day 3 guy, was because one, he just wasn't healthy all the time at Stanford. He was able to stay healthy this year in Houston, which is glad. We always like guys staying healthy. And 2, his accuracy was really sporadic at times. Now, the good thing for him is that he was able to run a more pro-style offense, which is what I think Houston's going to be running here. Although Pep Hamilton has kind of a lot of different influences, so he can take from those different influences and kind of create an offense that best suits the guys that he has. But Mills was able to run a more pro-style offense, but his accuracy at times was just really sporadic. I think that he just didn't, his timing wasn't right and stuff. So I think at Houston, now that he's kind of had a year under his belt, I really liked his pocket presence year 1. I thought he was able to sense pressure very well and escape it and really extend plays, something that we did not see at Stanford at all. He was more of like a statue in the pocket. So I really like that aspect. I think his accuracy was improved from Stanford, but there was still areas, especially more intermediate part of the field. I think his deep ball was really good, much improved from Stanford. And then his, short game was, just kind of how I expected it to be. Was accurate for the most part, missed some throws, but his intermediate part of the game, especially over the middle of the field, I think he's trying too hard to not throw an interception sometimes and trying to fit it into this tight window and just thinking too hard about it, honestly. But I think his accuracy was much improved from Stanford. I liked his pocket presence. I liked his ability to read a defense, although, rookie quarterbacks, they make mistakes. So he made some mistakes, but I think he probably had the second or third best season for a rookie last year. Obviously, Mac Jones was 1, but I think he was probably 2, maybe third, but I would say he was probably second. And I think Davis Mills can build on that here. I think they've gotten him, some slight upgrades in weaponry, drafting John Mechie and Dameon Pierce in the draft. I like both those guys. We'll talk about those guys later. But I think Mills, he's in a really tough spot. I think he has the runway to be the starter this year. I don't think Kyle Allen or Kevin Hogan are going to be anywhere near taking his job, barring an injury. So he does have runway for this year, and I have the arrow because I think he can be better than a replaceable starter this year. But Texans fans, I think, need to see this reality of the fact that Mills, the chances of Mills becoming like a Kirk Cousins or a Derek Carr is probably, if I'm being generous, like a 20 to 25% chance. They're probably going to be picking in the bottom this season, and I have him 31st for a multitude of different reasons. I don't necessarily think it's because of Davis Mills. I just like some guys over him. That's why he's 30th here. And I think he's very close with the next couple guys up on my list that I won't divulge now, but will be in the future. So I think he can be here. It's just his situation around him is okay. I wouldn't say it's phenomenal, especially I don't think that defense is like, very elite or anything, like very good. I think it's kind of mediocre to below average, but I do think that Mills does have the runway here. But in reality, depending on where Houston picks, if you have the chance to get a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud or Will Levis, whoever it is, you're going to take that guy because they have more of a chance of being elite than Davis Mills does of being like a Kirk Cousins or a Derek Carr. That's just my opinion personally. I do like Davis Mills, and I do want him to get this opportunity here in Houston. I think he earned it last season for sure. And Houston not having first-round picks, they, ended up going with Kenyon Green. So we'll kind of see what happens with Davis Mills this year. Kyle Allen's a good backup to have. He's played some good football. Played some good football in Carolina. Played a little bit in Washington. So he's kind of been around. Has some starting experience. So always good to have that in the backup. He's a little bit more like Drew Lock-esque, where he's going to, be a little bit more like erratic. And, he might have a game where he throws for 400 yards because he's taking risks. And then the next game he might throw for 4 interceptions. So that's... I think you'd rather have that in your starter than your backup, but he is an experienced backup, so he's there. And then my guy Kevin Hogan from Stanford, not really turned in anything, but he is there as their third guy. Jeff Driscoll is not on this screen because he did move to tight end, so that is a noteworthy thing. I don't even think I listed him in the tight ends because I just don't think he's even worth mentioning there. But he did move to tight end, so that is why he is not pictured here. So all in all, they rank 30th. I don't think they are the worst by any means, but as you can see, I have them ranked 30th for a reason. I do think Davis Mills could outperform that. I think he could be like, best case scenario, like 22nd, 21st best quarterback in the league. I think worst case, I don't think he finishes worse than 30th. I just think that coming into this year, I think he could prove some people wrong, which is why I have that green arrow there. It's kind of like the breakout / I think he could outperform that, but I don't see him really becoming like anything more than like a poor man's Kirk Cousins this season. That's just my opinion, but you never know. I mean, Davis Mills could... I'm not going to say he's going to put Houston in the playoff race because I don't think they're that good, but he could win, 6, 7, 8 games, and Houston could be picking more in like the 8 to 15 range. I don't think that's out of the question entirely at all because I am higher on the skill group than most people. So moving on to the running backs, you will see the ranking that they are 32nd, and I think a lot of Houston fans are going to expect this, but I will say I am somewhat excited about this room. And you're like, why are you excited about this room at 32nd? Well, let me explain. Marlon Mack hasn't really gotten an opportunity since 2019 because I think 2020 he tore his Achilles, I believe, week 1. And then last year he was just kind of resorted to the bench with the fact that Jonathan Taylor was just an absolute madman last season. and Naheem Hines was the guy taking third down reps because he's a really good scat back. So Mack has an opportunity here to be the starter. I think from day one, I think he will be the starter, although I do really like Dameon Pierce. But Mack has a chance to be a starter here, and good for Marlon Mack, because I like Marlon Mack. He's at this point, replaceable starter just because I don't know how he's going to play. If it was, 2018 Marlon Mack, 2019 Marlon Mack, I would put him more in like the quality average starter range, but I just don't know how Marlon Mack's going to play, I'm going to be honest. He got limited reps last year, so we'll kind of see how he plays this year. I like his vision, and he's a smart player. Decent receiver as well. I just don't think he has, I never thought he had the highest upside. I thought he could be, a quality starter in this league, and he could get back to that, but I really think that Dameon Pierce probably around mid-season is going to be taking over most of the carries, and I loved Dameon Pierce coming out of Florida. I had him as my third running back. Great spot for him to come in here and really play. And Pierce and Mack kind of have a similar skill set. I think Mack is a little bit more agile than Pierce, but they both have very good vision. They're both really good scheme fits for this offense. And they're both going to, I think, split carries to start with and be impacts for this team. And I'm really excited to see if Dameon Pierce can have like an offensive rookie of the year type season. I think he can have that because Houston doesn't have really a clear starter right now. I think it's going to be Mack, but Dameon Pierce could wow in training camp and end up being the week one starter for this team. I would not be surprised at all if that happens. So Pierce could have an offensive rookie type year. I'm just saying that could be a possibility. I really do like him. I think that he was underrated throughout this draft process because I just think a lot of people just were kind of out on Florida last season with the fact that they just kind of fell off the map and they weren't really watching a lot of Gator football. But when you watch this guy, he fits this culture really well. I think he's just a grit and grind type of guy. He's not going to go down after the first hit. I loved his vision. I think he has underrated speed to hit that home run type play, and I just think that he really can thrive here with this Houston Texans team. We'll see how his rookie year turns out, but I think the replaceable starter rank might be a little bit harsh, but I just, we'll have to see with Dameon Pierce is kind of what I'm saying here, depending on how much carries he gets. But I do really like him. And then Rex Burkhead, who's going to be more of that like third down work. Dameon Pierce could take that over as well midseason. But I like Burkhead here. Nice veteran, special teams presence as well. Fits that kind of grit and grind culture that they're trying to build, the kind of unwanted, type stuff. It's like, we want you to play here. So Burkhead coming over with Caserio when he did from New England. So I think that Burkhead has a real chance here to be a productive third down running back for them, get 8 carries a game, 4 catches type stuff. I think that's going to be Burkhead's role for this team. They did sign him to a 3-year extension, so there's absolutely zero way he doesn't make this team, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. Then for the depth, Royce Freeman, who was once super promising in Denver. I mean, he had a really good rookie season and then was kind of just overshadowed by Phillip Lindsay. And last year in Carolina didn't really have it, but I do like him here. Gives them another power element to this room. Short yardage type back. Just really hasn't, been able to get an opportunity since Denver. So we'll see what happens with him. Dario Ngambawale, another kind of scat back type special teamer. I don't think he makes this team. And then you have Darius Anderson there as well. So all in all, they are 32nd, but I am excited about this running back room, even though they're 32nd, because I'm excited for Dameon Pierce and Rex Burkhead duo, even Marlon Mack. I'm just excited to see him get on the field. Really good dude and deserves that opportunity, in my opinion. So then we go to the weapons, and I will say from the get-go, I'm higher on these guys than most people are. They're going to rank 26th for right now, but you can see there's 3 green arrows there that I think guys that could have breakout seasons. So let's start with the man that kind of is the reason why they're 26th mainly. It's Brandon Cooks. And a lot of people are going to question the star. And for a while I was debating, do I put him as a high-end starter? Do I put him as a star? And I was just like, I got to do it. I got to put him as a star because I think that Cooks, he just grinds out 1,000-yard seasons like nobody else. And he's doing it with really no other receiving threat around him. I think his 2019 or 2020 season, 2020, when he was with Houston, he had Will Fuller there. And even Will Fuller, he had a good season then, but it wasn't like, anything super impressive, and he ended up getting suspended, at the end of the season. So Cooks has just been the model of consistency. His route running is just so good, dude. His ability to just get open, find the open space in his zone coverage is amazing. I mean, this dude is reliable as ever. He's got great hands. He tracks the ball really well as a deep threat. He's just one of the most underrated players in the league. Playing in Houston, that'll happen. And Cooks, he just, he doesn't get as much love as everybody else, and I'm here to give him the love. I think he's a star player. I don't think he's a top 10 receiver. I think he's more in that 13 to 20 range probably, but I think that he's definitely a star in this league. I really, really like Brandon Cooks, and I think he's going to continue to produce here with the Texans. He had a good rapport last year with Davis Mills, so I'm excited to see him this year. Then we got Nico Collins, and for everybody that's sleeping on Nico Collins, stop. I really think Nico Collins is going to have a really good season this year. 900 to 1,000 yards. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I think that he was limited last year. I think was kind of getting up to speed with the offense, and then later in the season he got playing time. I think guys like Chris Conley were getting playing time over him. Chris Moore, because they'd been here longer, they knew the system. So once he got incorporated in the offense, he looked really good. I think he had almost 500 yards, and he only had 1 touchdown, but those will come. I think his red zone presence threat will be definitely a thing to watch this season because he's, big-bodied, possession type receiver guy. So I think he's an underrated route runner for a big guy too. I liked watching him. I like some of his routes that he ran. So that's another thing to watch out for him. He's got strong hands, physical. I mean, this dude's going to come down with 50-50 balls. So I'm really excited for Nico Collins year 2. I think that he can be much better, turn into a borderline 1,000-yard receiver, but we will see. I think I'm much higher on Nico Collins than mostly everybody else. Then we have John Mechie, who was, I think, my wide receiver 9, so I was much higher on him than more people. I had him in that round 2 range where the Texans took him, so I was really excited that they did. Right now I have him just as an average starter. I don't know how much Mechie's going to play this year because he did tear his ACL, but once he gets in there, I think Mechie's going to be a nice weapon for them. I think he's going to take the top off the defense, similar to a Brandon Cooks. He's going to be kind of their slot, underneath type worker as well. I think he'll be very valuable for them, and I think his ability to get open, which I think was very underrated at Alabama because they do have plays where they scheme him up a lot, but I did see plays where it wasn't scheme dependent at all. He was getting open, so I really like that for Mechie, where he can take the pressure off of Cooks, and then this offense can really get going. I really think that there's a potential where this team is again, like I said, in the pick 8 to 15 range if these guys really click. But we'll see what happens, but I did really like Mechie. I thought he was underrated throughout the draft process, just being a teammate with Jamison Williams, but Mechie will provide them a slot/outside guy. I think he can play both, so we'll see what happens there. And then Chris Conley, just a really good veteran. I know I have him as a replaceable starter, but he's just steady. Good fourth receiver to have on your team. Really good leader as well. Hopefully he doesn't see the field as much this year because I like some of the other guys they have in their depth, but you never know. We'll see. So as far as receiver depth, Philip Dorsett, former first-round pick, kind of bounced around the league. Deep threat, similar player to Mechie. I just think they're going to give Mechie the reps, obviously, because they took him in the second round. A, and B, he's just much younger. So we'll see if Philip Dorsett makes the team. Chris Moore had some nice plays for them last year as more of a bigger-bodied, height, weight, speed guy. I think he makes the team just because he also has special teams experience as well. So we'll see. If anything, I think Dorsett would get cut, or even Deshaun Hamilton, who I'm a big fan of. Deshaun Hamilton just sucked. He tore his ACL last season. I'm a believer in Deshaun Hamilton. I know most people are kind of out on him, but I am a believer. Slot potential play here for him. I liked his route running. I think he has good hands. I like his speed. I just think he needs the opportunity, and he can get that here in Houston with really no one in front of him. I think he could end up winning that fourth receiver job. He does have an opportunity here. I hope he seizes it because I did really like him coming out of Penn State, but the jury is kind of out on him, so we'll see what happens there with him. Then you got Jalen Camp, another somewhat special teams guy. We'll see if he makes the team. Davion Davis, not really interested in him. And then Johnny Johnson III out of Oregon, kind of a thinner frame, height, weight, speed guy, thinner than Chris Moore, potentially practice squad guy. I like his deep ball tracking, so maybe there's something there. I don't know. We'll see. But he's probably a practice squad guy. Then we go to the tight ends. Brevin Jordan, who I was very, very high on coming out of Miami, just kind of took a while to get on the field as they had Jordan Akins really playing there. Brevin Jordan didn't really play till later in the season. I really like him. I think he can be what Noah Fant is now because Jordan doesn't offer you anything as a blocker, but I think he can be more of what Noah Fant is now, being that very athletic type F tight end, but we'll see what happens there. I am very intrigued to see how Brevin Jordan does this year. I think there's an opportunity for him, really, with no one behind him to really take that tight end spot from him. So I like him. He's just very solid hands, athletic dude, red zone threat. Definitely a vertical threat, too. I think seam routes, corner routes, post routes, dig routes, I think are going to be where he does most of his damage. So we'll see. I'm very excited to see what Brevin Jordan shows us this season. Then we have Pharaoh Brown for the tight end depth. More of that wide tight end role, really good blocker. So you'll see him maybe on early downs, on run downs, in there blocking. Decent receiver, too. Sure-handed, just he's not really explosive at all, unlike Brevin Jordan. More of that kind of possession mold receiver. But he'll probably be there. Pretty good run blocker. Same with Anthony Auclair. They're very similar. Auclair's a little bit bigger. Worse of a receiver. About the same as a run blocker. Tegan Cotoriano, I'm not a fan of at all coming out of Oregon State. He just really sucked at the combine. I think he probably makes his team, though, just because of his upside. I think he does have a good upside. He's really tall, good run blocker. I think he's got the ability to be a good receiving tight end as well. He just really didn't have a good workout or combine. So we'll see. I think he's going to make the team probably over Auclair just because of the youth factor. If not, he'll be a practice squad guy. Seth Green as well there as a UDFA rookie. We'll see if he does anything here, but with a thinner tight end room, he could make some noise, end up making this team, but again, probably more of a practice squad type guy. And then for your running backs, in terms of your receiving grade, Rex Burkhead's going to be there. I think he's average. Watching him in New England, watching him in Cincinnati and in Houston, he's very good route runner for a running back. He just really lacks that kind of second gear explosiveness that some of these other really good receiving backs have, but he is a good route runner, sure-handed, gonna get the job done well here in Houston. Then We have Marlon Mack, decent receiver, along with Dameon Pierce, who I think could take over that role with Rex Burkhead. I think he was underrated as a pass catcher, route runner. He just wasn't asked to do it as much at Florida. Freeman doesn't really offer you anything as a receiver, in my opinion. Ogunbowale's kind of like that scat back type guy, but I just don't think he's going to end up making the team. And then Anderson's really nothing as a receiver. So those are your weapons. They rank 26th. Expecting really good years out of Nico Collins, Mechie, and Brevin Jordan. But we will see how they turn out. Definitely going to need some help from the staff, from, the coaching, and from Davis Mills to get them the ball and put them in positions to succeed. So now we have the offensive line, another position group that I'm probably higher on than most people. I have them 22nd. And it starts with Laramie Tunsil, who they traded a fortune for, and he got a massive contract because he had all the leverage in the world. Tunsil's a star to me, not quite elite. He's probably a borderline elite pass protector, and his run blocking is better than people say it is. It's good, not great, but he definitely excels in the pass protecting game, and Davis Mills is not going to have to worry about his blind side because Tunsil rarely ever gets beat. Absolute mammoth of a dude, long arms. Just, if Laramie Tunsil gets his hands on you, good luck, man. He is for sure one of the best pass protecting tackles in the league. And I think in the run game, he is he's good, not great. I think sometimes it's an effort thing with him, but I think he does get the job done. He's definitely the best offensive lineman the Texans have. And just needs to stay healthy. I think last year health was a little bit of concern with him, but I think if Laramie Tunsil's in there and he's healthy, he's by far and away the best offensive lineman on this team. We go to Kenyon Green. I was lower on this pick just because A, Zion Johnson was on the board, and B, I know it was a hole for them to fill. I just felt like they could have waited till round 2, but it's okay. I mean, Kenyon Green, very good player. Have him as an average starter right now, just coming in as a first-round rookie. Green, to me, definitely fits their culture. I think he's going to come in here, he's going to work his ass off every day, and he's going to give you everything he's got. And he's a local kid. I think he just grew up just outside of Houston, went to A&M, so he might be a Texans fan, might have grown up a Texans fan. So I think to get a hometown guy in here, I think that's huge for not only the Texans, but for like the fandom to kind of have a hometown guy to cheer for on the offensive line. He's a really good run blocker, mauling type dude, gets his mitts on you, you're not going anywhere. He's more athletic than people give him credit for too. So you can use him kind of in that wide zone pull game if you wanted to. That's not really his strength, but you could use him there. I think he could play that, but he's more of like power, gap type schemes, stuff like that for the run game. His pass blocking is okay. I think his footwork definitely needs work. I thought it was poor for a tackle, but fine for a guard. So he's definitely going to need to work on that, and I think sometimes his hand placement can get a little bit out of whack, but overall I think Kenyon Green's good, definitely an upgrade over Max Sharping, McCray, Kesenberry, whoever's in there. Thank God he's there. So I think Green could outperform that as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Justin Britt, very experienced guy, but at this point, not really the guy you want to see there starting at center. We'll see how he does, but I'm not exactly in on him there as a starter. I think he's definitely better than anybody else they have, but I think he's just fine as a run blocker. I think he's better as a pass blocker, but he's fine as a run blocker, okay as a pass blocker. His best years are behind him when he was, a center in Seattle for their playoff runs. AJ Cann, underrated for sure, has been a very good starter, good starter the last couple years. Got hurt last year, so that's why I'm kind of bumping him down to the average from quality starter. But I think AJ Cann's definitely better than guys that they have had here, and they kick out Titus Howard at tackle, where I think he's played much better than he has at guard. So we'll see what A.J. Cann has left in the tank, but certainly looking at their interior offensive line depth group, he's much, much better than anybody they have there. And then Titus Howard, former first-round pick. I think he's kind of in the mold we talked about with Jawan Taylor, where this is kind of like a make-or-break year for him. I don't think the Texans picked up his fifth-year option. He's playing much better at tackle than he has. He's a really good pass blocker, in my opinion. For what people are saying, I think he's much better. I think his technique's really good. I like his footwork. I like his hand placement. He's just a terrible run blocker. Run blocking has never been his thing. He's got the frame for it, too. I think both him and Tunsil do. They're just not as good of run blockers as they are pass blockers. But I do think Titus Howard can be a very, very good pass blocker in this league. He's shown it. He just has to be more consistent in doing it. And then looking at this depth, Heck started a lot for them last year as a tackle, and if need be, can step in there. He's not a bad swing tackle. Ogbuehi is kind of bounced around the league. You know, again, more of a replaceable starter type guy. In a pinch, if you need him to start, he can. Deculus, really experienced guy out of LSU, good pass blocker. He just does not have an anchor. He will be ran over by power. Nothing really as a run blocker, so he's probably going to make the team, but we'll see what happens there. And then Carson Green, Myron Cunningham are more of prospect-type guys, probably practice squads. Looking at the interior offensive line depth, Max Sharping has been awful when he started. Probably should just stay there as a backup. I mean, if you have to play him, fine, but if he starts more than one game next season, that's really bad for the Texans. I like Justin McCray. I think he could potentially push Justin Britt for that center starting job. We'll see, though. Scott Kesenberry, solid guy to have there as well in a pinch if you need him. Morrissey is more of a backup type guy. Can play center or guard, though, so he has versatility there. So he's probably fighting with some of those guys up there to make the team. We'll see if he does. And then Steckler, more of a developmental guy. 22nd for the offensive line there. I think I'm definitely much higher on it than most people. We'll see how these guys play together in 2022. So, recapping this for their offensive rankings, their overall offense is 31st. Not quite last, but, you know, borderline there. Their quarterback rank was 30th. Running backs was 32nd, although I am very excited to see those guys in action. Their weapons was 26th. O-line 22nd. Their offensive coaching's 31st. I love Pep Hamilton, but Lovie Smith doesn't really offer you anything as an offensive guy. He's much more a defensive-minded coach. So that's why they're 31st there. Their defensive coaching will be higher. I promise you, Texans fans. And then their average ranked here is 27.68. So, not the worst, but definitely not the best. But I'm kind of excited to see what this Texans team does next season. So, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth look of my number 31 team, the Houston Texans. Stay tuned for their defensive edition, probably coming out on Wednesday. So, we will see what I have to say about the defense then. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Thank you for all the support on this series. Make sure you like and comment on your thoughts on this video. And if you like the video, make sure you like it so that it can get out to other NFL fans so that they can, check out my content. But thank you again for watching, everybody. Have a great day and peace.